We now know the name of Swerve Scott's faction. Bobby Fish returns to NXT and Kushida retains the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. We're going to talk about it in just a second, so stay tuned. This is the NXT review. What's up, Maniacs? My name is Mex. I'm a wrestling fan, a wrestling enthusiast, a WrestleManiac, if you will. And today we are talking about NXT. Another really good show. NXT is really working its way back since all the rubbish with the Wednesday Night Wars. I wouldn't say rubbish, that the show wasn't rubbish. It was just focusing on competing against AEW. But now they're on their own night. You know, they're really kind of getting back into their groove, I would say. And we had a really good show to follow up what was an excellent show last week. A couple interesting points, which I mentioned in the intro, but we're going to get into it in just a second. So stay tuned. Right here at WrestleManiac UK, I discuss everything that's WWE and AEW. So if this sounds like the place for you, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time I drop a new video. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into the NXT review. The show opened up with the match that was set up last week. Karrion Kross was going up against Austin Theory. Johnny Gargano was at ringside with Austin Theory. And of course, Scarlett came down with Karrion Kross. And one of the most amusing things about this match at the beginning, obviously, we've got Austin Theory kind of playing this bit of a dunce kind of character. Obviously, we saw the big grandioso entrance of Karrion Kross and Scarlett, and they pan to Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano outside the ring, and their faces are just like, oh my God, like I have to go up against this guy. Austin Theory eventually gets in the ring, gets a bit of offense off at the beginning of the match, but Karrion Kross truly dominates this match. This was like a high level designer squash match, if you like. The only other time Austin Theory kind of laid hands on Karrion Kross was when Johnny Gargano got involved, distracted the referee. Austin Theory kind of scraped the eyes of Karrion Kross. He couldn't see where he was punching and kicking for a while. Austin Theory took it to him on the outside. Other than that, Karrion Kross in complete control. A lot of things were kind of being said between Karrion Kross and Johnny Gargano, which makes me think, you know, does Johnny Gargano have sights on the NXT Championship again? I don't know what they're really planning there. But Karrion Kross, you know, lots of Saito suplexes, hard strikes, and then even, you know, I love that move when, you know, they're lying down on their front and Karrion Kross is literally just laying into the back of their heads, and then just for good measure, he puts him in the crosshairs submission move. Austin Theory was already dead to the world. The referee calls for the bell. Karrion Kross celebrates his win with Scarlett, but as he is, you know, doing his long gaze into the hard camera, we saw the camera pan to the side. Karrion Kross kind of turns his head as well, and we see Finn Balor waiting in the shadows. Finn Balor says to Karrion Kross, "Look, I want my rematch. I want it now," sort of thing. Karrion Kross said he's been dying for this rematch as well, and both men kind of make a verbal agreement there that this is going to happen. And it is confirmed on the night in 2 weeks' time. We are getting the rematch for the NXT Championship. Karrion Kross defending the championship against the former champion, Finn Balor. I'm expecting Karrion Kross to retain here, but yeah, this should be good. Making the shows in between the takeovers feel important is one thing that AEW have done very well. So I think this is a really good step. How we're having, you know, every 2 weeks or so, we're having some type of championship match on NXT. It seems really interesting, and this is going to be, you know, another really good match, just like their takeover match was when Karrion Kross picked up the victory initially. So yeah, kind of good opening to the show. We found out as well, I'll just cover it here, that Bronson Reed is going to have his chance at Johnny Gargano's North American Championship next week. After finding out that news, Johnny Gargano threw a strop as usual. He went backstage, threw a strop with William Regal, and then he and Austin Theory, it seemed, laid an attack on Bronson Reed in the locker room. Bronson Reed then had words with William Regal, and the match has been confirmed, but the added stipulation of it being a cage match is what's going to happen. So next week, cage match for the North American Championship, Bronson Reed versus Johnny Gargano, which should be very fun. Cool. Next up on the show, we had a tag match. NXT Tag Team Champions MSK went up against Breezango A pretty bog standard match, if you see what I mean. Like, obviously, everyone involved in this match super talented. Breezango are being used as like the veterans of NXT, the tag division, to kind of help put over, give wins to some of the younger talent. Nothing really exciting happened here. We know both teams, Tyler Breeze, especially MSK in general, they've got a great repertoire in the ring. One of the standout spots in this match actually came from the referee, where he got involved in a sequence. He had to duck down low, and then he had to jump over. I think it was he had to leapfrog Breeze, Tyler Breeze. So yeah, that was a bit of fun in this match. But as I said, you know, Breezango mainly here to put over MSK, which they did, and MSK got the win in this match. Really, really good match. You know, we just know these guys can produce this, so it's not like nothing special when they do come up with a match like this. West Coast Popcast, thanks for joining, bro. He says that match was dope. Not sure if he's talking about the MSK match or the Karrion Kross match. Probably the MSK one. But yeah, like I said, it's just really straightforward stuff that we've come to expect. We've come to expect because of the talent level of the guys involved. And yeah, the referee spot was pretty good. He says, yeah, the tag one, yeah. The referee spot was probably the standout, probably doing a bit of the rounds on social media, that referee spot. But yeah, that was a bit of fun on the night. Next up on the show, we had Pete Dunne, and he came out to the ring and he was demanding a competitor, saying he's the baddest man in NXT. He wants a competitor, come on, step up, and all of that kind of stuff. Earlier on in the night, we saw Leon Ruff asking for a competitor in NXT. He wanted a match on the night. You know, he obviously went for a brutal match last week with Swerve Scott. NXT general manager William Regal was saying, no, yes, you are cleared, but it's to my discretion, sort of thing, and I'm not putting you out in a match. Leon Ruff lost his rag a bit inside inside William Regal's office. And when Pete Dunne was standing in the ring calling someone out, someone that wanted to fight, we saw Leon Ruff come from behind and lay an attack on Pete Dunne. So Pete Dunne, he put his mouth guard in, was smiling. He's like, yep, here we go. Let's have this fight then. And him and Leon Ruff went at it. But, you know, this is Leon Ruff maybe taking a step too far. He should have, you know, maybe taken a week out to rest up and everything. He did get some offense in on Pete Dunne, but Pete Dunne kind of being Pete Dunne, they're keeping him strong as well. They're keeping him very, very close to that main event scene. Pete Dunne systematically disposed of Leon Ruff here. He got his head in like a kind of in a hold between his legs, and then was just pounding on Leon Ruff's head. And I don't think Leon Ruff submitted, or the referee just threw out the match just because Leon Ruff wasn't responding. But yeah, Pete Dunne doing what he does best, just breaking guys down in a savage manner. Got up to celebrate and then went back for afters, snapping the fingers of Leon Ruff. Pete Dunne, he's being well looked after. Like I just said, you know, he hasn't lost. I can't remember the last time Pete Dunne has lost a match. I can't remember. He's lost to Finn Balor, obviously, in recent times for the championship. Other than that, I know he got eliminated from that gauntlet thing for the North American Championship, him and Kushida. But yeah, Pete Dunne's been kept very, very strong. He probably will be, you know, one of the next contenders to the NXT Championship after the whole Karrion Kross Finn Balor thing is done. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where Pete Dunne ends up. Leon Ruff still being the underdog, kind of plucky competitor, trying to kind of involve himself where he can. So yeah, they like Leon Ruff, and I think he's been doing some good work recently. So hopefully that continues. Next up on the show, we had the NXT Women's Championship match. Raquel Gonzalez, the champion, defending against Mercedes Martinez. This match was pretty decent. I would say it was pretty decent. I think we could see that the chemistry wasn't quite there for everything that the women involved tried to do. We had this dynamic of, you know, heel versus heel, basically, which can come off, but I'm just not sure it really they got it right on this particular night, if you see what I mean. I think what I did see from this match is Raquel Gonzalez still being obviously she's held in quite high regard as the champion. Still some work to do in terms of just the finishing touches and the polishing of her moveset and just how she comes off. Not that I don't think she's green. She's got a lot of experience, but I think maybe it was just the meshing with Mercedes Martinez just didn't quite come across, didn't quite work. Mercedes Martinez in the early runnings of the match really took it to her, but in the end, Big Mami Cool, too much of a mountain to overcome for Mercedes Martinez. We saw that kind of one-handed power bomb that Raquel Gonzalez has been dishing out to the women's division, and with that, she retained her NXT women's championship. So yeah, I think this is going to pretty much be a one and done. I can't imagine them, circling back around to this Mercedes Martinez coming back for her next week or whatever the case is. Raquel Gonzalez will probably move on to somebody else. We are obviously all still expecting an eventual split between Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. So maybe in the next few weeks or months, they'll start building towards that. West Coast Popcast says in the comments, Pete Dunne hardly ever loses. Last time I remember, besides Balor, was that Walter match, and that was an all-time great. If you're talking about the UK Championship match, then yeah, and that was ages ago. So yeah, he hardly loses. Obviously, he was in a really cool tag team as well with Matt Riddle. But what happened? I think the pandemic happened, so they didn't officially lose those tag titles either. So yeah, Pete Dunne's well looked after, like I said. Hoping that they keep him strong and he has a good run, maybe picks up that NXT championship, because I would love to see that personally. But yeah, Raquel Gonzalez retains against Mercedes Martinez. Right. We had the introduction to Swerve Scott's faction, but before we get onto that, guys, please make sure you have hit the thumbs up button. Let the people know you liking the video. It does loads for the channel, pushes this video out to more wrestling fans like you and I thoroughly appreciate it every time you guys do that. So please, if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up button and let's continue with the review. Swerve Scott comes out in the middle of nothing and says NXT is about to get really scary. We see the new Titron, the new music, his crew, his squad, his new stable, Hit Row are here. They all come down to the ring. The big man, AJ Francis, now going by the name of Top Dollar, puts a chair in the ring, a red chair, not just any old chair, a red like office chair sort of thing in the ring where Swerve Scott sits down and these guys crowd around him. Top Dollar, AJ Francis from last week, he kind of delivers his promo in the way of raps, along with Ashanti the Adonis and along with Brianna Brandy, now gonna be known as B-Fab. Yeah, they all obviously they have the background of the whole musical thing, the whole rappers thing, so everything is like bars to them, like everything was delivered in that sense. But Swerve Scott's promo here was basically saying how, Swerve's house and Swerve is confidence and all of this stuff that he used to say, all these catchphrases. It's not him. This is him. He's a savage. He's disrespectful. He's linked up with other savages and disrespectful people. And they're going to do a madness on NXT. And you know what? I have to respect it. I have to respect it. This act right now, it doesn't look very NXT. This looks like something we would probably see on the main roster more than NXT. Obviously NXT is quite grungier and things like that. But I'm here to see this. I'm really, really here to see this. And this has the DNA of a faction in the way that Swerve is the leader, B-Fab, Brianna Brandy is the mastermind sort of thing, the manipulator. Top Dollar is the muscle, and Adonis is the loudmouth kind of, let me at him kind of guy. So yeah, this is going to be really interesting. I think this is definitely enough to propel Swerve into the realms of the North American Championship. Is this enough to make Swerve a possible contender for the NXT Championship? Be really interesting to see what you guys have to say on that. But the DNA of this group says a lot. Hit Row as a name works. I'm really looking forward to what they do, and this being NXT, I know they're going to handle them very well. I know they're going to handle it very well, especially, now that I guess they're gonna maybe clash against the Way at some point. Another faction, Undisputed Era is done, of course. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Hit Row and everything that they're gonna do on NXT. West Coast Popcast says hit row and hit that like button. You got it right, bro. That's exactly it. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to what they're gonna do. They look good. They really, really do look good. Next up on the show, we had Oni Lorcan coming out. He had a match against Kyle O'Reilly. I kind of expected this match to be a bit more physical than it was, and hard hitting, because we know this is both of these guys' bags, so to speak. This is what they do. But it was kind of cut short. It was a bit underwhelming. This match was clearly designed just to give Kyle O'Reilly another win. Keep building him up, just like they're building up Pete Dunne, like I said earlier. Keep building up Kyle O'Reilly to the point where he's a credible challenger for Karrion Kross at the top of the card. That's exactly what happened here. One thing I do like is Kyle O'Reilly, that knee from the top rope that he's been using. He used that to put away Adam Cole. The diving knee drop from the top rope is I think that looks phenomenal. It just looks real. He just landed that knee right at the back of Oni Lorcan's head, pinned him, and got the win. Pete Dunne obviously still rolling with Oni Lorcan, got into the ring. Oni Lorcan and Pete Dunne started laying an attack on Kyle O'Reilly, and I just thought, and there's no Undisputed Era, so who's gonna come out and save Kyle O'Reilly in this situation? And I thought, no, it can't be. And as literally as my brain ticks and said, Bobby Fish, it was Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish came out, dished out, the Muay Thai, the MMA style punches and kicks to Pete Dunne and Oni Lorcan with help from Kyle O'Reilly, who eventually got off the floor. And yeah, we had this little bit of a reuniting between Redragon or Undisputed Era and Kyle O'Reilly. We heard them. They weren't on the mic, but we heard them through the camera microphone. Kyle O'Reilly thanked Bobby Fish for coming to his rescue, but did say to Bobby Fish, I'm on my own path now, sort of thing. And Bobby Fish said, yeah, I know, I see you. I've got unfinished business myself. I'll kind of see you down the road. And love that kind of mutual respect between these guys that obviously go back before Undisputed Era. These guys have been tag champions all over the world together. So yeah, loved how they kind of handled this, and very interested to see how Bobby Fish is gonna kind of slide into the thick of things in NXT as a singles competitor. How much they're gonna use him, if at all. So yeah, Bobby Fish returns. Kyle O'Reilly gets a win against Oni Lorcan. And we move on to our main event on the evening, which was this 2 out of 3 falls match between Kushida and Santos Escobar with the NXT Cruiserweight Championship on the line. Fantastic match. Absolutely fantastic match. I mean, you didn't need to give these guys 2 out of 3 falls. You could have just given them 20, 30 minutes, which this match ended up being about 20 minutes, if I'm correct. You just give them the time and just let them go at it. But they gave them 2 out of 3 full stipulation, and it was, it still added that intrigue. You know how these 2 out of 3 falls usually go. One person gets a win, the next person gets a win, and who's going to get the last win? There's very rarely the whitewash of someone just winning 2 falls out of, back to back, and then the match is done. So, yeah, that was going to be the drama here. Very early on, we saw the Legado del Fantasma boys get thrown out. They tried to get involved very early on. We saw MSK literally fly out of nowhere to take them out, and the referee gave them one of these and threw them out of the arena. So it was literally just down to Kushida and Santos Escobar. And Santos Escobar got the first fall. Kushida soon replied after putting him in the armbar and getting the second fall after Santos Escobar tapped out. And then we saw Kushida resort back to the arm, back to the submission backgrounds, his technical background, which is so supreme. And in recent weeks, recent months, we're really seeing Kushida just be himself. They've stripped back all this kind of character stuff, the time splitters and all that kind of stuff, Back to the Future and all that stuff. They stripped it back and they're just letting this guy wrestle. And yeah, he's doing what he is fantastic at. And it goes without saying, Kushida retained the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. Like I say, match of the night. This was so good. Santos Escobar, I mean, there's an element of me that wants him to stick around in the cruiserweight division, help elevate this cruiserweight division as he has done already. I didn't even know he was cruiserweight champion for over 300 days. I believe it was over 300 days before he lost to Kushida. Um, I wasn't aware it was that long. Like, he is so good. But I do think they've got bigger sights for him, you know, in the main men's division. Even if it's for that North American Championship, maybe even the NXT Championship. Santos Escobar is something in terms of, you know, the whole overall thing that WWE like, the character and everything. But Kushida is doing what Kushida does best right now. He's wrestling, just like I said some weeks ago when he won the championship. Keep giving him challenges. Make it an open challenge every week for the Cruiserweight Championship. Just let him put on some phenomenal matches. And yeah, we're now beginning to see the 6-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. At first, they were trying to make him a bit of a character and stuff. Didn't quite come off, in my opinion. But now we're seeing the guy with the accolades that they brought from Japan. But yeah, guys, that was NXT. A really good show, like I said. We have next week the North American Championship match, cage match, Bronson Reed versus Johnny Gargano. In 2 weeks' time, Finn Balor, Karrion Kross, the rematch for the NXT Championship. So a lot of things to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up. There's loads for the channel, like I said earlier, and I thoroughly appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and you will be notified every time I drop a new video. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you soon.